Good evening. This is Daily Recall with Tom Stoukas, March 9th, 2026. Coming to you from Sarnia, Ontario. Hope everybody's having a nice night. Monday night. It was a beautiful day today in Sarnia. I had the motorcycle out. And my brain's a little fried from I was following this war all weekend. It was crazy because you think, are they gonna nuke them? Because I wouldn't be surprised if they nuked Iran, these crazy Israelis with their nuclear weapons. But nobody got nuked on the weekend, but the oil prices in the market's like melting down, so there was a lot of concern, like if things kept going the way they were going, the whole economies of the world would be destroyed. So basically Trump, what he did today was, just before the market closed, he leaked out, or got out about an interview he did with CBS, said, the war's ending, we've accomplished our goals. And the minute he did that, the markets, the price of oil was dropping, the stocks were going back up. So he basically timed it for the market. But then he talked after the market and said, he said a lot of contradictory things, like you can't just shut off a war like you're watching a DVD, like it's or a video game. It's sometimes the wars keep going. So it was basically just a thing to calm the markets. As far as I know, the war's still going, and the panic was, the concern was, it was going to escalate because Iran, I guess, is doing all right with their missiles getting through to Israel, doing some real damage. So there was a lot of fears that it would escalate to nukes or ground invasion. Still could. So we'll keep an eye on that. And in Canada, we've got some Canadian news. We'll do that first. Is another poll out showing the Liberals crushing the Conservatives. And Carney's all this popular, high personal approval ratings, and also Carney called 3 by-elections. He called 3 by-elections for April 13th, I think. And if they win all 3 of those by-elections, the Liberals, which a couple of those Liberal seats are pretty safe, so it's just the one in Quebec, which was like really close last time. Then he has a majority government, and then I think Pierre's screwed then, because Carney will have a majority. He won't have to do an election for years. So Conservatives will say, and his personal approval ratings with the general voters is bad. So they might say, okay, if we got to replace him, because we're going to be stuck with Carney for 2 years. So if we're going to replace Pierre, now's the time. So those by-elections will be interesting. But Pierre, Conservative Party is crashing. I don't know. I don't think, the Liberals aren't. The Liberals have a weird support base. They got all the immigrants, literally 80%. And there's millions of them because Trudeau brought in 10 million. And then they got the elbows up crowd and the Trump derangement syndrome crowd. That's, they'll vote for him just for that and think he's the best person to fight Trump. And then you got the kind of the boomers, the rich boomers who made have the house values, all their assets from their house value. So that's where all that support's coming from. Even in Alberta, they're starting to be competitive and ridings. They used to be wiped out in Alberta. But that's because when they flood like hundreds of thousands of immigrants into Alberta, of course the Liberals' fortunes are going to rise. There's a poll here. So yeah, let's look at this poll. It's interesting. Will Pierre survive? Will he survive? Is he still in Germany? Or in Europe? I don't know what he's doing over there. But I have some thoughts on the conservatives. They're garbage too, conservatives. The Liberals, they're basically one's there to govern and destroy. The other one's there as the feckless opposition. So here's the poll. Liaison strategy. 44% Liberals, 30% conservative. Like, that's horrible. And 9% NDP, 6% Bloc, 4% PPC. That's good. It's a little better than 1. So yeah, it seems like that gap's widening with the Conservatives and the Liberals. And I wonder if Doug Ford will be running to replace Pierre. We're screwed with all these guys. And a lot of like front bench Tories are projected to lose their seats under this poll. So what's the seat count? What's the seat count? Okay, yeah, according to this, the Liberals would get 237 seats, the Conservatives 69. It's crazy. It's crazy because Carney just has this. People like him. I don't like him. I don't like the Liberal Party, but people are supporting him. It's horrible. Horrible news. Like, that's crazy majority. And these are some of the Conservatives that are trailing in their ridings. Giovanni, Larry Brock, like Roman Baber, Andrew Lawton, Tim McPaul, lots of Michelle Rumpel Garner, Rachel. So yeah, they're barely hanging on here. So can't be good news for Pierre. Like, I'm sure the knives will be coming out, especially if they lose all 3 by-elections. So here's this guy said about Alberta. If the current political polling trends hold, Alberta could move from being a flyover province in federal elections to something closer to a battleground. That would represent a major shift in Canadian politics. Of course it was, because I remember Conservatives used to sweep Alberta. Liberals didn't even bother campaigning there. Now they're campaigning because they imported millions of immigrants into Canada. 10 million. A few of them made their way to Alberta, obviously. So yeah, now they're getting votes in Alberta. Surprise. You import hundreds of thousands of Indians, Africans, Muslims to Alberta. It's no surprise. And the thing with Pierre and the Conservatives is they're basically made up of Indians. I don't know what kind of Indians. Kalistani Indians, I guess. Lots of them. I don't know if Tim McPaul and them are Khalistan. I think they are. But the point is half the Conservatives are like Indians. And then the other half are like these boomer conservative Westerners. Like usually white, boomer, conservative Westerners. And then you have the Indians. So it's a weird party. And obviously it's not a good effective combination because they've lost 4 elections in a row and a few of those elections were very winnable. So the problem with the Conservatives is they want to be electable but still hold on to their base, so they're basically trying to ride that fence where they cater to their base, throw them a little bone, But then they're trying to get all these Indians and New Canadians and red kind of centrist voters that would maybe vote for Liberal to vote for them. So it's not a winning formula, So maybe we need a new alternative. PPC, I mean, it'd be nice if they caught on, but for some reason they haven't caught fire. Like, I would vote for them just based on the policies. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Conservatives. Like, maybe instead of blowing up the party, they could get a guy to come in and realign what the Conservative Party is, make it like a Canada First party. Otherwise, it's just going to slide into irrelevance, like the one in the UK. The Conservatives in the UK, they're like at 15%. Margaret Thatcher's party is 15% now. And I don't think they're coming back from it, because the only voters they have are the boomers. The old Tory boomers. All right. So, I'm watching Al Jazeera. They say that, Israel's getting bombed from Lebanon instead of Iran now. So I don't think that Trump says the war is going to end. I don't think it's going to end. I hope it is. I wish it would, because it's going to get ugly for all of us. Even look at the gas. It's like $1.50 here. If it goes up higher, that'll suck. Especially heading into summer. All right. So, yeah, April 13th will be interesting to see how those by-elections go. Okay. So now let's go to other Canada news. So we have Pierre Poilievre. He's a good prairie goy. Of course, this is no surprise. He endorses U.S.-Israeli strikes against Iran. He says he supports the action to overturn the regime because this is a regime that has killed Canadians. Israel's killed Canadians too. This is the biggest state sponsor of terror in the world. That is why we have not equivocated. So yeah, the Zionist talking points. And guarantee if Pierre was prime minister, he would be committing, like, offering Canadian forces. Not that we have any, but he would be offering it just to kind of give the U.S. more legitimacy. The more that participate. So that's the one difference between Carney and Pierre is this. They're more Carney's been more waffling. Like, he's not for it 100%, but he's not against it 100%. Which might be not a bad strategy, because this thing's could get, like, you could look bad either way if you don't support it or if you criticize it. So he's just waffling his way. But Pierre's all in. There he's got his Zionist deputy leader, Melissa Lantzman. Let's see what he says here.
Sponsor of terror in the world. That is why we have not equivocated. We also need to focus.
You said explicitly it's in our interest that the regime is replaced. Will you say explicitly whether you support what the U.S. and Israel have been doing and whether you believe that any of it is in accordance with international law?
Well, we already said that. We support the action to overturn the regime, because this is a regime that has killed Canadians. They killed over 100 Canadians. They have 700 agents on Canadian streets terrorizing our Persian and Jewish communities, carrying out terrorist attacks against our people. This is the biggest state sponsor of terror in the world. That is why we have not equivocated. We also need to focus on what we control at home, which is here at home, to secure our borders against these terrorists, to bring down energy costs and food prices for our people. And that's what we as Conservatives are going to do here at home.
All right, that's him. No surprise. He's a Zio stooge. Like Stephen Harper too. He's really ultra Zionist, and he would have got us into Iraq in 2003 if he was prime minister. So he probably would have got us into Iran But Carney's still waffling. I guess depending on which way the wind blows. All right, let's go on to other things in Canada and then we'll look at the Iran stuff. I'm kind of getting sick of the Iran stuff, but it's not really going to end good, I don't think. All right, this is funny. India's largest magazine names Canada #1 destination for temporary foreign workers. They pay for everything, even if you're not working. India's largest lifestyle magazine has officially ranked Canada as the world's top destination, praising the country's unique combination of open labor programs, of course, generous public services, and what it called remarkably flexible expectations around actual employment. I don't know what that means. Editors describe Canada as a welcoming economic environment where opportunity is abundant, paperwork is optional. I don't know what that means. And the benefits start quickly. Wow. This is what they're this is the image in India of Canada. It's horrible. We got to change that. And if the states get sick of their Indians, they're going to send them. They're going to come here if they read this article. And the states is getting sick of their Indians already. They're like, what the hell is going on here? And then, you know what they're going to happen? They're not going to go back to India. They're going to come straight over the border here. If they read this article. Canada has created something very special. A country where you can arrive as a temporary worker and quickly experience many of the advantages traditionally reserved for citizens. You know, it's a very accurate article, I have to say. The article highlighted Canada's expanding temporary worker programs, growing international student pipelines, and a social system that, according to the piece, ensures a comfortable landing regardless of how the job situation develops. They know how to get all these benefits. There's probably benefits nobody even knew about that they find. Canada has essentially invented a new category of immigration, one temporary, permanent, and somewhere pleasantly in between. Jeez, this is horrible news. Canadian officials welcomed the praise. Of course they did, saying the recognition reflects the country's global reputation for compassion, openness, and administrative creativity. I don't even know what that means. What are they talking about? Critics, however, argue the system is beginning to create pressures on housing, infrastructure, and wages, though those concerns are typically addressed with what experts describe as Canada's most powerful policy tool. A new announcement. Still, the magazine concluded that Canada remains an attractive destination for ambitious workers seeking opportunity abroad. Where else can you pursue the dream of working overseas while simultaneously discovering you may not need to? This is horrible. They're basically saying, come to Canada. If it doesn't work out, they'll still pay you. They'll pay you. Probably like welfare or something. I don't know. Come to Canada for temporary workers. Okay. This is yet another reason to scrap the temporary foreign worker program. Horrible, man. They'd rather die than go back too. So once they're here, they're here. They're not going back. All right. And then we still got this guy, the story of the Indian truck driver who killed the 16 kids in the Humboldt Broncos hockey team. And the really horrible thing is the parents have to put up with this. Like, the guy's still here. The guy's still fighting to get here. He's got Canadian politicians. And journalists going to bat for him to let him stay. So if you're the parents of these kids, it's like, what? our kids' lives aren't worth anything apparently, but this guy is free to kill again. So he's slated for deportation, but he's fighting it every step of the way. And you know, with Canada, they'll probably let him stay eventually. But he's got, like, he had a baby and like anchor baby just to give the old you know, the heart, the tearjerker story, whatever, sad story. Oh, I can't leave. Yeah, you can bring your kids with you. So there was
injured 13 people.
There was a good interview here with Chris Joseph, one of the parents. He used to play in the NHL, I guess. And he says, almost 8 years of pain, lies, and misinformation from mainstream media. We've had enough. So, basically, yeah. It sucks when you're... I know how these parents feel. And when it feels like they'll say, sorry for your loss. We're sorry for your loss. But then they still have this guy standing. No, if you guys were sorry for our loss, this guy'd be gone to India by now. So we don't have to look at him. And you do something about the corrupt trucking industry so nobody else's kids have to die. That's what I'd want to hear. Instead of sorry for your loss. I can't imagine how you feel. No. I don't care how you... I don't want your imagination. I want this guy gone. So it was a good interview. I heard a lot. It's 34 minutes. Media Bezergin, whatever his name. He's a good kid. But it's sad, man. They don't deserve this.
When he runs his fingers through his son's hair and he worries about his lungs and his life without him. Well, the last time I ran my fingers through my son's hair was in a morgue. And he was cold.
No.
And he was beat up. That was the last time I ran my fingers through my son's
That's
hair.
horrible.
On April 6, 2018, at around 5 p.m., in clear weather and good visibility, a double-trailer semi-truck driven by Jaskirat Singh Sidhu failed to stop at a large stop sign and collided with a bus carrying 29 passengers from the Humboldt Broncos junior hockey team. The collision happened at a rural intersection in Saskatchewan. Sidhu's reckless actions injured 13 people and killed 16 others, most of them teenagers, including Jackson, the son of the Josephs.
Well, Jackson was, he was a fun-loving, he liked to be a little bit silly. He loved playing hockey, he loved being with his teammates, loved his family, obviously, but he was just a young kid that was sort of figuring it out. All he knew at the time was that he wanted to play hockey as long as he could, and he had dreams of playing more hockey after his 20-year-old season in Humboldt.
It has been nearly 8 years since that day, and although the scent of Jackson has faded from his room,
held the smell for a couple of years.
That's horrible.
Not anymore.
the pain of losing him has never left.
Okay. It's a 35-minute piece. I encourage you to go if you have a chance to watch it. It's horrible. I feel for him. And it's disgusting with guys like Aaron O'Toole, old fool I call him, and a lot of obviously Indian MPs, but Aaron O'Toole and Jason Kenney and guys like them. Oh, he should stay. This is what Canada's about. No, it isn't. So I think it's disgusting that this, CBC and like the Globe and Mail and these politicians, they're trying to make this guy out to be like this poor guy. No. He sucks at his job. He killed a bunch of people. He needs to go. And they still need to do fix the trucking industry because more people are going to die. Like, it's horrible. Here's another thing on India. I'm sick of hearing this Canadian Security Intelligence Service has repeatedly cited the Indian government as one of the main perpetrators of foreign interference and transnational repression in Canada in recent years. So yeah, India, what they do is they send people all over the world, and they get involved in the politics and all sorts of crime and all this, and the Indian government, they think it's cool to be part of it, I guess, because they have killed Indians in Canada who aren't friends with the Indian government and this and that. It's horrible, and they do all sorts of criminal activity, Indian officials. So it's like, why are we bringing all these Indians here? Like, they bring crime, organized crime, sex crimes, political interference, drug smuggling truck drivers, incompetent truck drivers, just horrible. Polluting the rivers with all this garbage. So yeah, ban immigration from India. It's the only way to be sure. Only way to be sure. Here's them dumping garbage in the water and calling it a religion. It's like, look at all this. I was looking at this. It's like every one of these has got a little thing, and they're just dumping it in the water. And nobody thinks, hey, that can't be good for the water. Like, we've lived in Canada, and it was always like the natural beauty of Canada and don't spoil it, right? That was our kind of our mantra. But here they come. Look at this. This is ridiculous. I'm sick of it. And, you know, you just have to look at their rivers back home. Like, they got dead bodies floating down them. Look at this shit. I don't know where exactly this is, but the point is they're literally throwing stuff in the water. And the government in Canada won't say anything, even though, like, the federal government has huge control over any water in Canada. Any body of water, it's federally regulated, literally a puddle in the ditch even. And but the federal government, no problem, let's throw all this shit in the water. Like, there needs to be like a total ban on this. Ban. If they want to throw it in their swimming pool or somewhere in a private pool, body of water, like a private enclosed pool, go for it, or go back to India. All right. Here's more on this truck driver. Deportation of Mr. Sidhu is but a first move to help fix a deeply corrupt trucking industry and even further corrupted immigration system, which has allowed the Canadian trucking industry to be parasitized by foreign gangsters who employ the grossly incompetent and untrained. So he pled guilty to dangerous driving causing death and bodily harm. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison. He only served 3. He's not Canadian. Yeah. But he's acting like the victim. So they're doing a petition to get this expedited, his deportation. So if you have a chance, sign that petition. Here's another funny story in Canada. CBC, they're doing all this investigative journalism, but only against white people. So it's like they did the story on the white nationalist, like the Second Sons, and calling them Nazis, and literally they're not killing anybody or raping anybody, but let's do a story on them instead of all the killers and rapists. And now they're doing a story here on this apparently a white dating site. And so there's this white dating site, and it got hacked. So all the names got hacked, and there's like 500 Canadians, and including several members of the Canadian military. And it says, So this is a white supremacist dating site was hacked. I don't know if it's a white supremacist. I know it's for white people. So I guess it's white supremacist. Exposing thousands of members worldwide. CBC visual investigation team identified. Okay, who is this guy? He looks like a commie. Yeah. I don't know what his deal is, but the way he described it is, he says a white supremacist dating site, but I don't think it is. I think it's just, it's automatically a white supremacist if you want to have anything a white. Let's look at this anyway.
Host industries and dark side. And we find members of the Canadian military. Okay. This is a white supremacist dating site, nicknamed Tinder for Nazis. We analyzed membership data leaked by an anonymous hacker and found more than 500 Canadians, including profiles belonging to members of the Canadian military. Should we be concerned?
They are getting access to training, weapons, secure intelligence.
Okay, so White Date has been around since 2017, and its terms of service says people with non-white genetics aren't allowed on the site.
Well,
This isn't just about dating preferences. White Date is based around the idea.
it's called white date. So it kind of defeats the whole purpose. If you have a black dude on white date, I don't understand how that makes a white supremacist.
That white people need to preserve a pure bloodline.
Nordic people are dying out, and within 200 years, there won't be a person left on this planet that we could call white.
Members are often open about their beliefs in their profiles.
Yeah, so what I'm looking at is obvious white supremacist symbology. When you look at the profiles, there is a drop-down where you can select...
Look at this commie.
You hold, including a variety of white supremacist ideologies that are very blatant, very obvious.
Is it possible, given what you said, that some of the people on it may not have known exactly what they were signing up for?
I would find it extremely difficult to believe.
An anonymous hacker leaked the site's user list and deleted its databases as part of a talk at a conference in Germany. The leak includes thousands of profiles, which we investigate using tools like Host Industries and DarkSide. And we find members of the Canadian military. This is Brogan Hale. We find he's a Navy reservist. We know it's him on White Date because the leaked data shows he created his account in Esquimalt, BC. On LinkedIn...
So this guy goes on a dating site and now he's getting exposed by CBC as like some kind of terrorist or something.
We see that Hale took a naval security team...
Or security risk.
Esquimalt around the same time period. His social media history is pretty explicit. On his X account, he says, "Keep Canada white," shares swastikas, and says we should use bioweapons against Indians. We also find White Date profiles for other military members. We don't have as much social media history for them, but we know they were on the site. Like this account from Ottawa with the username Jim. Searching the profile's email address brings up his LinkedIn, revealing his real name, Brandon Longpre. He's a corporal with the Governor General's Foot Guards. That's the Senior Reserve Infantry Regiment in Canada, based in Ottawa. Then there's this profile. It's pretty clear. It says, "I'm a communications engineering officer with the Royal Canadian Air Force." We link the profile to Tristan Armstrong. And get this, according to his Facebook, he now works on the Future Fighter Capability Project, Canada's effort to buy new warplanes. Should we be concerned about these people being in the military?
Yes, absolutely. Whenever you have an extremist in the military, particularly a white supremacist, there is reason for concern. They are getting access.
They might do a good job.
Weapons, secure intelligence that is not meant to be shared with others. It is classified.
We reach out to all of them over email, but none of them respond. We also
I wouldn't respond either.
It tells us it's investigating because service members' online behavior is supposed to reflect the military's values and ethos.
When somebody is in the Canadian Armed Forces, they're held to a higher standard of conduct than a civilian.
Tampons.
And that extends not just in what they do, let's say on base, but the views that they might express.
Look at this commie.
We also found dating profiles for some notable Canadian white supremacists, people we've previously covered. like Blaine Palmer, an organizer with the neo-Nazi conference Exiles of the Golden Age, and Sean Beauvais MacDonald, a leader in multiple Canadian white supremacist groups. He openly calls himself a Nazi and praises Hitler. If you see anything you want us to investigate, reach out at vi@cbc.ca.
All right, there's CBC. Your tax dollar is hard at work with these guys. So yeah, so basically, you can't have a white date site. You can have like a Jewish date site. You can have a Sikh date site. You can have a midget date site, but you can't have a white date site. I mean, do you think, is everybody on white date doing like Nazis, claiming to be Nazis and that? No. They just want to go on a site where only white people are. I mean, if that's their thing, go for it. The hypocrisy though, like, it's just another example, is like only white people are prohibited from doing stuff. You can't have a group. You can't have a club. You can't have a dating site. Can't have nothing. So that's the bigger thing for me is, it's like, why are these guys getting doxxed and hounded? They didn't commit any crime. And then you wonder why nobody wants to join the military. If anything bad, like if they get reprimanded or released because of this, that'll do wonders for your recruiting. They ran all these white dudes out of the military from some scandals, perceived scandals, I guess. They disbanded units. Like, they made it very hostile for any white dudes to go in the military and advance. Now, but they have a commercial out, a new commercial, and everybody on the internet's making fun of it today because it's all white dudes. And the joke is, like, once they start making commercials that aren't diverse, it means the war is coming. Let's look at this. Which is probably true. The only time they have white people on commercials is if it's suicide program or war. Which is, it's pretty pathetic, really, when you think about it. Let's look at this. See, the white dudes are cool now. This is Canadian military. I don't think this is very accurate, but no diversity here. Zero diversity. So basically they're trying to get young guys who can't afford a house and have no prospects. It's like, hey, look at this cool stuff. Join this. So it's a cool commercial, but I don't like what it means, because that's the joke, is once there's white guys in the commercial, they're gonna be sent off to war, probably against Russia. Okay. So there's Canada for you. Basically, we're screwed. We got the Liberals and useless opposition, and it's basically illegal to be a white person. That's Canada for today. All right, let's look at Iran. So the big story was things were heating up over the weekend. Israel bombed oil depots outside of Tehran, which is a city of 10 million. Destroyed it. It was like Mordor, like hell on earth, like black smoke everywhere. Israel was getting pounded pretty good with some missiles. Like, here's Tel Aviv here. And you thought, okay, this is going to go nuclear or something. It's getting out of control. Trump was talking about ground troops. And then the market started freaking out, and oil started going up past like $100. This was going up to like over 120. Everybody was freaking out. And I think Trump got some calls saying, hey, we're going to be pulling money out of U.S. investments if this keeps going or whatever. Anyway, he said, like we said earlier, he said today he was going to, the war's over. We did, but we accomplished what we wanted to, but it's not over. He's just saying that because he needs to calm the markets down. But how long will that last before they get all riled up again? Whether Iran closes the Straits of Hormuz so oil can't get through, or there's more escalation, like they're targeting water plants and oil refineries, and so it's still very unpredictable. I don't know, Trump, he was like, he's like very contradictory, like, we're done, but we're just getting started. It's like, what the hell, man? This is crazy, eh? Like, we don't want it. If it escalates, it's going to go nuke, and then that's it. If it goes nuclear, it's very unpredictable. It's not good. It's not good. And then here we are in the war for Israel cycle. I thought this was interesting, accurate. Jewish lobby, AIPAC, promotes the wars, so they push you into the war. Then the Jewish NGO comes in and sends the war refugees to Western countries, and they expect, if it went to like escalating full war, like ground troops and everything, and they say like they're expecting like 10 million refugees, or if the country Iran's destroyed, it's like 10 million refugees. So yeah, Europe and Canada be screwed then for sure. And it'd be some Afghan refugees, because there's like 3 million Afghan refugees in Iran. So where do you think they're going to go? And then finally, another Jewish NGO attacks and censors anyone who dissents. So yeah, they'll call you anti-Semitic. Rinse and repeat as necessary until greater Israel is achieved. And on the Canadian angle, in Canada, there was 3 synagogues in Toronto got shot at over the weekend. And now it's everybody's saying, we need to do something about anti-Semitism in Canada. And I was like, well, it's horrible. People shouldn't be shooting at synagogues. I don't think that's a very good thing to do, but it's funny how they act all like, oh my gosh. It's like, well, you literally started a war. You literally have been bombing and assassinating people. You bombed a kid's school. You brag about it. You're bombing southern Lebanon, or southern Beirut to smithereens, killing women and children. So, for the synagogues, it's, put your security there and try to prevent it. But what are you expecting? Like, that would be no negative consequences from warmongering. But yeah, what they're going to do is they're going to say, we need to do all these new laws to combat anti-Semitism. So they're basically going to go after Canadians who didn't do anything to their synagogues. They'll go after the white Canadians for being even though the white nationalists want the people shooting up the mosque to go, get out of Canada. So it's messed up. And a lot of people say, they're probably shooting it themselves. And there has been cases where they fake anti-Semitic attacks to gain sympathy. But how about just don't start wars? Don't run child pedophile rings. And the chances are your synagogue won't get shot up. Like, you blew up babies for 2 years. You started another war with Iran, what, you didn't think everything has there's always reactions. It's physics, All right. Here's Trump. He's talking about his comments. I think the Iran war is pretty much complete. He told CBS reporter on X, citing interview. Okay, so he did this to time it for the market. It was melting down, the oil and the price of oil and the stock market. So he said something like this just to calm it down, and it worked. But after the market, he started rambling on again. I was like, did he run this by Netanyahu first? Because he said, like, Netanyahu will help me decide. He said this. All right. And then he did a press conference after. And he said this. He was asked, you said the war is complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it? And Trump is like, you could say both. Like, come on, man. Let's see what he says here.
Thank you. Mr. President, you've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be prepared?
Well, I think you could say it both. The beginning, it's the beginning of building a new country, but they have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up. They have no radar. They have no telecommunications, and they have no leadership. It's all gone. So, you could look at that statement. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further. But
I just don't see.
So it's like literally the guy said before the market closed, we're going to end it, and then it's pretty much complete, and then he's like, we're going to keep going. So hopefully it doesn't escalate, but I'm kind of concerned. So here's this woman here is pretty good, an analyst. Trump makes announcement to calm the markets, but the war goes on and the straits remain closed. Nothing has changed in the war. Trump is backed into a corner by the market with few interceptors left, American bases being bombed and Israel under intense bombardment. So Israel's been censoring the strikes from Iran, the missiles. They've been censoring the damage, but, it's getting out how they've taken a big hit. She says, Trump's behaving like a spoiled loser child, and tomorrow will face renewed pressure from markets, which are starting to realize he has no power over the situation. Tonight, attacks on Tehran continue, and Iran is retaliating with more missiles against Israel. Yeah, literally, when he was doing his press conference today, they were bombing Iran. So it's like, it's interesting how he says one thing, and it's like Orwellian, really, very Orwellian, this war. U.S.-Israel coalition is a loss. As they continue the bombings, they see no sign of Iran yielding. On the contrary, Iran has been destroying radars and opening a corridor for more efficient missile strikes against Israel. It seems the war will endure for some time and the strait will remain closed. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on World War III. I think even if Trump wants to stop it, the Israelis want Iran destroyed, so they're going to do whatever they can to keep it going. Unfortunately, America's occupied territory. Okay, so that's it for today. We'll see what happens tomorrow, March 10th. I hope it. I don't know, man. I don't have a good feeling about that one. We'll find out. I guess we'll find out. So, until then, have a nice night. We'll see you tomorrow.